What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be once again talking about some training camp updates. But in this video, it's going to be a little bit different. Instead of focusing on the Detroit Lions, in this video, we're going to be looking at the rest of the NFC North teams, talking about the Vikings, the Packers, and the Bears to know our foe. Let's get it started. Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. Did that sound cool? Know your foe? To know our foe? No, it didn't sound good. I know. I was thinking of something cool. It didn't come out that cool when I said it though. I wrote it down. I was like, dang, that's kind of fire. I got kind of hyped. And then I said it. I was like, okay, well, why'd I say that? So today's going to be a little bit different. Okay, instead of just talking about the Detroit Lions, which we already have a video on that for day 2 if you guys want to check it out, we're mainly going to be focusing on the rest of the NFC North teams because 6 of the Lions' 16 games will be against NFC North opponents. And it's always great to know your opponent, know what's going on in the rest of the division, because obviously if you win the division, which we've never won the NFC North, it's a huge benefit heading into the playoffs. That's got to be your regular season goal. Like the very top of your regular season goal has to be win the division. I'm assuming that's what every team's goal is heading into the season. It's really important to know your opponents heading into next year, and looking at the division to me is the best way to do that. So maybe we'll do some periodic updates here and there if any big things come out, but I just kind of want to get a nice little overview from all 3 teams. They have had some major injuries as well, and the Lions play the Bears and then the Packers week 1 and week 2. So we're going to be starting this thing off with NFC North opponents right away, so you might as well know who you're going up against. So let's start it off with the Minnesota Vikings. Before we get into their takeaways from training camp, they have a little bit of roster news. They have signed a different linebacker outside Hardy Nickerson, who is a linebacker that's basically going to be a backup linebacker that is replacing and adding some depth for Cam Smith, who was placed on IR earlier. So they add a little bit of linebacker depth there. That's just something that I kind of want to put out there first, just to give you guys a little roster update. Now let's talk about their takeaways from training camp so far, from day 1 and day 2, kind of combined. Just some of the main points, some of the main observations so far. The first one is about the secondary unit, mainly the cornerback position. The cornerback position had a lot of turnover for the Minnesota Vikings, kind of like the Detroit Lions, and a lot of young guys stepping in. They took 2 cornerbacks in this year's draft pretty high, Dantzler and Jeff Gladney, 2 of the higher cornerbacks rated in this year's draft by most scouts. Dantzler, you guys know to me, is someone that I was super high on this offseason. I had him ranked as the 2nd best corner. I know if some of you guys didn't know that, you're probably like, oh, this guy is really crazy. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that's how I see it, man. That's just what I see from on the field, and my rankings aren't always the same as what other people say. I'm curious to see how my predictions turn out, but either way, I had very high hopes, and I thought that Dantzler would be a very good corner, and then he got drafted to Minnesota, and I was like, are you kidding me? Why Minnesota? Why do you do this? Because now I can't root for him, really. Anyways, he's with Minnesota, and they also have Jeff Gladney, but the thought is that those 2 guys will be part of the 4 starters for Minnesota, or at least the first 4 in the depth chart. Those 2 guys will be involved in that. Now, will they be the 1 and 2? Who knows at this point? But we do know that Dantzler came out to a very hot start. In day 1, he was getting some huge rave reviews from a lot of Minnesota Vikings media because he made a huge play against Adam Thielen on a 1-on-1, a deep route. A lot of 1-on-1s, we've been seeing a lot of workouts there. 1-on-1 against Adam Thielen, he just stayed right in his hip, went up, made a deflection out of the air, and a lot of Vikings fans are getting really excited about that. Hey, man, I'm not even surprised. I think Dantzler is just going to be a beast. I mean, I see him and I'm just like, he's that dude. I'm not even surprised. I mean, I hate that he's a Viking, but he's that dude. I think he's a very good player. So he started off, he's getting a lot of fans excited there in Minnesota, so it's a really good start for him. And even Mike Zimmer said that he is a really good player. So obviously there's some hype around him already. Speaking with the secondary, we have a guy named Harrison Smith. Yeah, he's one of the better safeties in the league. He picked off Kirk Cousins twice in the first day of training camp. Twice. Dang, man, that's tough. Okay, a lot of quarterbacks getting picked off. Matthew Stafford got picked off by Tobias. We'll talk about something later with the Packers. A lot of quarterbacks getting picked off. It's early. It happens. But 2 interceptions for Harrison Smith honestly doesn't surprise me, man. He's a very good safety, and you know he's coming ready to play. So if you're not on your A game, he's gonna make you pay. There's a Cleveland, who they drafted this offseason, has been working with the 2nd unit. I don't know if that's going to be the case when the season starts. As of now, it looks like he would be the backup, but again, we got a long time until the season starts. But everything's kind of starting to make a mold for them on the offensive line and the defensive line. For the offensive line right now, Ursa Cleveland is playing with the 2nd unit. We'll see if he is able to jump into the 1st unit and he starts this season. Justin Jefferson, their first round pick in this year's draft, who is basically the replacement for Stephon Diggs they traded away. He's been playing really well. Justin Jefferson has lived up to a lot of hype so far, but so far in the depth chart, they don't have him as a 1 or 2 corner. But this is how a lot of teams do it. For the most part, a lot of teams don't have their rookies out there with starters right away. It takes them a little time, and they just kind of try to get their feet wet slowly, kind of slowly introduce them to that scheme and everything. And even though he's been playing well, he's still listed as basically the number 3 or number 4 receiver. He's not technically their 1 or 2 yet, but I do think by the time the season starts, he will be. I just think there's so much talent there. He's going to be a 1 or 2. Now moving on to the Chicago Bears. Not any crazy things with Minnesota, but now moving on to Chicago. They had a very unfortunate injury that happened today, actually pretty recently, and that's about Artie Burns. So we know Jayshon Cornell went down with an injury. We don't know how serious it is. He was carted off the field. Now Artie Burns, who is a cornerback who was competing for the number 1 cornerback position, who was a former first-round pick back in 2016, tore his ACL. Now, the Lions do play them twice this year because it's a divisional team, but he tore his ACL and he is reportedly out for the season. That is a huge loss. We're going to try to take advantage of that when they play Chicago. You know, they have a good pass rush with Robert Quinn, who's kind of been slowly kind of making his way into this defense, but with Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack, it's going to be a problem. But their cornerbacks definitely took a big blow with Artie Burns being out for the season with the torn ACL. So you just hate to hear that. I mean, you do. Yes, you can be an advantage on game day, but aside from that, it just stinks. It stinks to see guys go down, especially for the whole season. I mean, it's one thing to miss a few games, another thing to miss the entire year. You know, these guys work all off season. They're super excited, and then you miss the entire season. It's just you hate to see it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I just feel terrible for those guys. But Artie Burns is out for the year reportedly at this point. We'll see if that changed, but he's most likely not going to play week 1. I mean, I think we know that. Also, looking at the rest of the players, a guy that had a slow start so far is Cole Kmet. You know, that was one of their top picks, their tight end. Cole Kmet, who was looked at as possibly the best tight end in this draft. He's had a little bit of a slow start. He had a drop pass. He had a false start in practice 1 in the first practice for the Chicago Bears. Cole Kmet's off to a little bit of a slower start as well. So don't be worried about Jeff because Cole Kmet's starting a little slow, but that's just something that you see with rookies. I mean, that's just something you see. But with Chicago, the main news is the quarterback position, okay? Who in the world's going to be the starter? Now, they have brought in Trevor Siemian, those guys for tryouts, things like that, like we have, and no, none of those guys are going to start. It's really down to Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles, who they traded for this offseason. Well, at first, I'm thinking Nick Foles, but then I'm sliding to Mitchell Trubisky. I talked to a lot of Bears guys. They're all thinking Trubisky. I'm like, okay, you know what? That just makes sense. Matt Nagy likes Trubisky. Yeah, they're going to keep Trubisky. He's going to be the starter this year, okay? And maybe he still will, but it seems to me like the tides may be turning a little bit. It was reported that Nick Foles has played better so far in training camp than Mitchell Trubisky. He had a rough day today, Mitchell Trubisky did, with some poor decision-making and some bad throws, some bad deep passes. And when Matt Nagy was asked about Mitchell Trubisky, this was his quote: "He needs more time to evaluate if Mitch is a better player." Okay, that just doesn't sound good. I don't know how you guys hear that, but when I hear a coach say that, that doesn't sound good. Hey, I need more time to see if he's actually gotten better. Yeah, that's not usually good. So I'm not trying to take anything out of context here, but I do think this is maybe a little bit concerning. But I still have that feeling Trubisky will be the starter, but I don't know, man. Foles is starting right up there. Who starts? Let me know in the comments below. Who do you guys think starts day 1 for the Chicago Bears? Yes, it definitely could change throughout the season. I'm starting to lean to Nick Foles a little bit more, though. Is that good or is that bad for the Detroit Lions? And then finally, talking about the Green Bay Packers, the dang cheeseheads. I don't even want to talk about them, to be honest. Can we just end the video? No, I guess. I put like 2 notes on here, guys, so we won't be here too long. All right, well, the Green Bay Packers, they like football. I don't know. They're going to have trash. Anyways, let's stop playing. Anyways, with the Green Bay Packers, the first thing is about their running back, A.J. Dillon, who has been drawing all the attention so far in Green Bay, and that's because he's an absolute monster. I mean, this guy is huge. He's a dang bowling ball at running back. They're calling him Quadzilla. I mean, this was kind of something that Saquon had going on, but Saquon's one of the best running backs in the league. But he is a big guy, okay? He is a big guy, and they just kept showing the same play over and over and over, where he ran right into the pad. Yes, he lifted it off the ground. I know, okay? He's a big guy. We get it, but Swift is better, so let's just leave it there. But no, there's a lot of hype around him. I understand it. It's a nice duo for them to have Aaron Jones, both A.J. Dillon back there, and I can see them, possibly looking to run the ball maybe a little bit more next season. Corey Linsley, their center, was out today with it looked like an injury. He was out today. He did not practice, so they were moving some things around the offensive line. And defensively, they've been doing pretty well. Aaron Rodgers threw an interception, so look, every quarterback's throwing a pick at this point. Also saw another player go down with an injury, which stinks, and this guy was Montravius Adams. I don't know a lot about Montravius, but he went down with an injury and he was carted off, kind of like Jayshon Cornell. So hopefully everything is okay. But Aaron Rodgers was intercepted by the new safety, Adrian Amos. We know he's very talented, and I guess the pass defense had a really good game. I mean, at the end of the practice, they were chanting D-Train. D-Train? What does that mean? They were chanting D-Train for all the pass breakups they had or something. It was a good day for defense, not so much for the offense. Looks like they got some things to figure out. It looks like Jordan Love may be still working on that footwork as well. He doesn't seem too polished with that yet, but obviously all it's going to take some time. So you can see across the board, rookies, they're taking time to get, used to their schemes and things like this. If you guys want to see more videos where we talk about the rest of the NFC North and do little roundups, make sure you let me know. We did this about a couple weeks ago just with regular news, so I think this is kind of cool. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.